Hi, my name is Brenda Titus. Thank you so much for joining me for my video series, My Year Recovering from Retinal Detachment. This is the 27th video in my series. So if you haven't seen my previous videos, I definitely recommend that you go backwards before watching this one because it goes through my entire journey. So, and also as a reminder, this is my personal story and I'm presenting this for informational purposes, hopefully to help other people going through a situation like this, or if you have a loved one who is dealing with something like this. So this isn't to be taken for medical advice or in the place of medical intervention. Just going to be sharing some things based on my own personal experience. So like I said, today's video number 27, and I'm really coming to largely, hopefully, the end of this journey. It has been an incredible road and definitely a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges. So today I wanted to actually talk in the midst of sharing kind of just an update on my vision and the quality and the changes and what I'm noticing. I wanted to talk a little bit about how important it is to be clear with your doctors about what your changes are with your vision. And so I found that this was really important as I was really needing to be very specific about my challenges. And, the truth is, well, first I wanted to share, so I had kind of appointments 3 weeks in a row with each of my doctors. So I started with the cataract doctor, and so I wanted to be very clear with her about what I was noticing. Then I saw my retinal specialist, and I needed to again be very clear about my specific experiences with him. And then the really important one who needed to really understand what I was experiencing, then the ophthalmologist who was helping me determine my glasses prescription. And I will say, I mean, actually that experience was really helpful for me in those 3 weeks in a row to be able to be very clear what I'm experiencing with my distance, what I'm experiencing in terms of that double vision. So, and the truth is that early on, I would get so frustrated explaining my vision challenges. I mean, I would just basically cry. And at one point, I actually told one of the technicians, I said, it felt like I was just failing every time I would go to the doctor and I couldn't, adequately make out the information on the vision tests. And so I realized actually after explaining it to them that way, that's actually been almost a whole year ago, very early in the process, but how upsetting and distressing this situation was. And I'm thankful, at least now, both to be able to see better, that's obviously the goal, to be able to see better, but also to be able to clarify with them what my challenges are so that they can help me be able to adjust and navigate, or to see if there's any more interventions that would be appropriate. So the first, when we deal with vision, the reality is that I did have poor vision before this all happened, and we don't really know why I had the retinal detachments, but it is more common for people who are more nearsighted, and I was nearsighted, and I had been using glasses since I was 16, I suppose, and I really relied on them. So, that could be kind of part of it. So they had always been very clear that I would never go back to what I had before. And so I guess I kind of thought, well, my vision wasn't that great before, but I had glasses. And so I guess I'd probably thought quite a bit that, one way or the other, well, the glasses are going to resolve everything. And that is actually not true. And it's too bad. And I'm learning to adjust to that, but I'll tell you a little bit about that. So the first, with the distance, one of the things that I really started noticing, and I had to be honest with them too. I said, well, if I was standing here at the DMV, I could tell you what those letters are because I've already basically memorized the charts that they had given me. And I said, but I know that that is not the point. Here, I need to be very clear with them what I can see and what I can't see, so that we can get the prescription as good as possible. Ultimately, they really are only able to adjust for the distance so much. And then they keep reminding me that I already have lenses in my eyes, implanted in my eyes from the cataract surgery. And the goal with that was really to give me natural or automatic in my implanted in my inside, always having them with me, my distance vision. So I'm learning to rely and trust on what I already have already, which is that I do have enhanced distance vision because of the cataracts. The other thing that I really started noticing as I was really trying to explain the challenges that I was having is that the more that I focused on the letters on the chart, it was like they'd just start dancing. And if you've seen the TV show Severance, and you see how they're going through the numbers and trying to categorize them, and they kind of wobble a little bit. That's kind of what I was experiencing when I was really trying hard to identify what the different letters were. It was like they were just trying to escape me. So technically, my day-to-day life, I don't have to work that hard to make out what the letters are on a screen. And the truth is that with an eye chart, they're random letters. And so, just trying to test your vision and the difference between a G and a C, because they're very close, or even if it's an O, and all of those things, where the reality is that I can largely navigate things throughout life, largely being able to piece together what words are, what makes sense, with just my ability to read, and then being able to see with some distance. And so I'm embracing, understanding that that's part of the new normal where it comes to distance vision. Now, with the double vision that I'd been talking about, so maybe I wasn't using the correct term. I don't know. That's how I felt. And I was very clear with them, though, what I was experiencing. And so either way, but it's kind of one doctor, that's not their specialty. Another doctor, it's not their specialty. But really, truly, when I was sent back to the ophthalmologist to talk about my glasses, and we talked about these prisms, and he said, well, but technically that's not what the prisms do. And he and I did go through, and he held a prism in front of my eye to see, okay, well, is this better? Is that better? And we kind of, I learned how to understand what was better and what wasn't. And technically, we weren't so sure about how the prisms were really going to work. So there you go. But I did also learn the difference between having double vision, that is one image and another image like this, versus what I experience, which is one image and then another image below it, versus even something that is more just kind of like a blurry doubled, which is actually sometimes what I experience with faces. So with words, I experience them up and down, which is very frustrating. I do miss reading and being able to see. I'm working on ways that I can read with a bookmark, and so that I can keep track of the lines and all of that. So, and then faces, I'm actually getting kind of better at that, partly because I'm learning how to I blink a lot. I do that. Thankfully, I mostly just spend time with people who, either my clients who understand, and, but I sometimes have to kind of just, refocus my eyes, and then I can see a face better. And sometimes it kind of just depends on the distance. I mean, I literally had a day where I looked at my husband and we were just at the exact right distance from each other, and my face was angled, my eyes were angled at the right space, and it was the first time I had seen his face clearly in ages. So that's the level, and I can say that right now with a good attitude because I worked really hard to prepare to, I always come here on my videos where I've kind of worked through a lot of that stuff, but I will be really honest, and especially if you're going through this or if you have a loved one who's going through it, it's very it's hard. It's really hard to have these vision challenges and to lose so much of your life or to not see your loved ones and be able to see their faces. So I'm just going to be honest about that so that, you know, we can all be clear about, you know, these different challenges. So that's kind of to help understand a little bit about that double vision. In the end, 2 weeks ago today, as I'm speaking today, I did order glasses. And he and I kind of went back and forth. He said, well, I don't know how much glasses, you know, it's not going to help you that much. And I'm going to actually, you know, talk about that in a minute. But I'm really, since that time, I've been kind of exploring the real understanding of the fact that I'm at the end of the road where it comes to treatment options. There's not another surgery, which is good because I don't want to have another surgery. And but it's also sad because it means that there's not the hope of something else that's going to resolve everything. And I think I had put a lot of emphasis into how glasses would help. So that's what we got, right? You know, we ordered glasses. So I have definitely been working a lot through the last about 2 weeks. Really, I've always been really aware of working on my mindset, my mental adjustment to what's going on and my emotional adjustment to what's going on. And it's definitely been, you know, a lot of ups and downs, but I'm really looking right now is this idea of really understanding the fact that this is my new normal. It's, you know, I mean, there theoretically will be some improvement over time as my brain adjusts to the changes, as maybe even my retinas continue to heal. So, you know, there's always hope that it's going to get better, and I obviously really hope for that. But rather than just getting frustrated and upset, I'm really trying to, you know, accept what I can see and how I see it, and working towards the future. So before I did this video, sat down to record this video, I looked at my last video. So I just want to be sure I was clear on the storyline and updates. And so I just kind of wanted to add a couple of things. So when I'd gone to my retinal specialist 2 weeks ago, I had been really complaining about having the sensitivity around this eye. And basically I'd said, you know, I'm squinting so much. It's really aggravated. And I didn't know until after I recorded the last video, that he had actually ordered me some eye drops. And he just forgot to tell me, but they were ready for me. And so I did use the eye drops, and they were for inflammation, and they actually helped a lot. And so I was very, very happy that through that round, and he and I had done that with the other eye about a year ago as well. And so I was very happy that helped resolve some of that. So that was a really good thing. I also had said the last time that the double vision issue was frustrating me enough that I was really only relying on one eye most of the time. And so I was wearing a patch a lot. And I actually stopped wearing the patch. I decided that I wanted to try something different, especially after I had ordered the glasses. And I kind of thought about this idea of, well, you know, when you're exercising and you're working out, you got to build your muscles. You don't just start at, you know, bench pressing 100 pounds. You know, you got to start with what you're capable of. And so I thought, okay, well, if part of this is to redirect the muscles in my eyes or to have them be stronger, which is a little bit of what they think with this, the double vision part, I thought, okay, well, then I need to, instead of protecting that eye or even protecting my frustration about it, I decided that I would stop using the patch and that has, and I think that probably happened right around when I realized that I could see my husband, and I kind of realized that I could understand better how to kind of align my eyes. And so it made me feel better where it came to looking at my clients or watching TV and all of that. So those are kind of some updates where it comes to some things that I shared in the last video. So one of the things, and like I said, I'd always kind of thought, well, the glasses will resolve everything. And, just in the end, they're just going to get, I don't care how thick the lenses have to be, fine. Well, that was actually not the case. And he and I did go through so that I understood where it was helping or not helping. So I do understand the truth, the reality about it. However, I was very adamant about having prescription glasses, and a couple of things that I just kind of wanted to share with that. So I did order something very similar to what I used to have, which would be, where they have the progressive lenses. So technically distance up here, even though it's a very slight, there's not a lot, it's not like I'm just going to put them on and magically be 20/20. That's not going to be in my future. And but then it'll have some distance help, and then some mid and some near vision down here. And then I got all of the same things that I used to have before, in terms of they'd turn dark in the sun, and and all of those good things. Now, part of the thing that I'm really hoping is that, I'm sitting here surrounded by 4 pairs of glasses. I've got one on my face, 2 here, and here. So, and that has been my life, because I keep kind of going back to, well, maybe this will help and maybe that'll help. And the truth is that even these, I deliberately wear these on here because that's what I'm used to seeing in the mirror, seeing my face framed with glasses. And these these are very low quality, online kinds of things. And so I'm really hoping that actually having the good quality, prescription strength, good lenses, and that will help quite a bit. And so I'm really looking forward to getting them. And I also kind of suspect that because I'm used to seeing the world through glasses, that it might actually help where it comes to that binocularing and my 2 eyes working together. I don't just say that completely out of nowhere. I have noticed that for myself as I've worn all the different glasses and actually having full frame glasses. I have noticed that myself. So and the doctor was kind of like, well, maybe let's see. So the next time you see me, I will have my new glasses. What I'm thinking I'll do is, they should be coming in any day, and I'm going to live some life for a couple weeks and just kind of see how they go. I've got spring break. I'm going to go out and get out of town for a few days. We really desperately need some opportunity to just not be at home, and actually it will help me to kind of practice being out in the world a little bit. And so I'll be excited to check back in a couple of weeks and share my progress. So with that, I really do appreciate you joining me and hearing what I have to share. And like I said, I really am doing these videos, both helps me be able to kind of share my progress with friends and family who are interested in hearing the whole story. But also, I really wanted to share this publicly because, it really truly is quite a challenge. And I wanted to be able to give tips and tools to other people going through this. And so I hope that you've been able to find some inspiration or some understanding, or even if you know somebody who is going through this, to understand them and their experience as well. So with that, I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.